I'm still not over it. A mock interview with 3 different interviewers at Microsoft. That is insane. Oh my god, if you are here, you probably are here for some takeaways, like for a mock interview or just to learn with curiosity about the career lesson that I'm about to share with you guys now. So I'm not gonna waste any of your time. Let's get started. Hi, hello, my name is Ash and I talk about personal growth, personal finance, and career development on here. So if you're new, welcome. If you are coming back, welcome back. I'm so happy to have you. Let's go. So the number one thing I did was I went ahead to Walmart, or if you cannot go out, order it. It comes within 3 days, costs you max of $20, a padfolio. And mostly what the padfolio needs to include in it is, of course, something to hold your resume, something to hold your business card, which is my next point, and a notepad with a pencil holder. Okay, a padfolio, something simple. It doesn't have to be creative, doesn't have to be super fancy. It's such an indicator that you're prepared, you're interested, you're curious. And the first thing you do when you sit in an interview is you go ahead, you pull your padfolio out and you open it with a pencil in your hand as if you are interviewing the interviewer too. This again is coming directly from the interviewers that I worked with earlier this week at the interview, and they pointed this out. I was one of the only 3 people that brought the padfolio, even if it was mock interview, because the whole point of a mock interview is to treat it like an actual interview and they can give you feedback on what you need to work on. So this was the first positive feedback that they told me about. It is just so important for you to show up as this curious person. A padfolio is a great indicator. Number 2, you bring multiple copies of your resumes for different industries and different interests. Now, hear me out. When you are in an actual interview, obviously you cannot bring like 10 pieces of different resumes that you have tailored. But it is just so helpful to go to a mock interview and show them, hey, I have 3 different types of resumes. Do you have any recommendations? Because if you're at the mock interview, they want to help you. So I went ahead and I printed out my 3 main tailored resumes for 3 different fields, and you can differentiate it by fields, you can differentiate it by skills. It's up to you. But what it does is when you're applying for an actual internship or an actual job, it comes really in handy to have all these different tailored resumes. So it's very job specific and not just a general resume about your work life, because they in the end do not care about your work. They want you to also give them something back in return if they're gonna hire you. Here are my 3 copies of my different resumes. I have 3 different, of course I'm not going to show you guys the information, but it's 3 different resumes. One is marketing and branding, another one is the financial services path that I'm looking at, the third is just general business operations and strategy, brand strategy. So there you go. Number 3, print out your business cards. And this is so important. I was the only person out of the 40 people that were there in that room that day that brought out a business card of their own. Now you could use online, there's .com that has like I'm not sure if the link is right, but the company is Dot, and they have this version of like online resume. You can just put the card as if you're tapping on a thing and it gives the person your information on their phone. So if you want to do that. But I am into marketing and like designing and branding, so this was just also a great way to show my creativity and what I can bring to the table, because I designed this. I'm not going to show you guys the front information. It spoke volumes. I had something to talk about. I was like, hey, this is my business card. I designed it specifically for opportunities and to hand out to you guys, so it makes it easier for you guys to find me in case anything happens. Because most of the time, if you're going to a mock interview, you're going to have time to network, and when you're networking with people, it's just much, including the interviewers, it's just much easier for you to tell them, hey, just get my card, scan it when you have time. Or you can even tell them, hey, I don't want to spell my whole name, why don't you just scan this and it's going to send you to my profile. I put in my LinkedIn information. You guys can put whatever else that you need to put. If you have a portfolio, if you are into creative design, if you're into social media, UGC, etc., whatever that requires a portfolio, put that QR code for that as well. Canva makes free QR code for you guys. Here's another free resource. Just make an account. It's free. Just do it. It's really not going to cost you. Printing these business cards took like maybe maximum cost me like $15, because I didn't need to print like 150. 40 are fine, and that's like the least you can get at like Walgreens or CVS, I don't know. But business card is a must. If you want to stand out, a business card is necessary. And another pro life tip, keep one in your purse or in your wallet all the times. because you're never going to know where you're going to meet people, and the least you can do is at least have something for them to scan and just have an easy go-to way. So that is the portfolio, what you really need to have in your portfolio. Now I want to tell you guys a little bit about the things that I actually did right by the interviewers. And I have my notes here because I actually used my portfolio during the interview and I took notes. I took notes about the hiring manager and I actually used what this portfolio was supposed to be there for. I had 3 different interviews, as I told you guys, and the first thing I did, and this was very start of the thing, most likely when you're in a mock interview, they're gonna introduce themselves in the start, like before the whole process starts. Take notes. This is like a golden opportunity. What I did is I took notes on what the people that I was hoping to interview with, and I took notes on them. What do they say? What is their experience? Why? Because when you're having that conversation with them during the interview, you have some questions to ask them about themselves. Because yes, they're a hiring manager, yes, they're hiring for the company, but everybody likes to talk a little bit about themselves, regardless of what situation, okay? That's exactly what I did. And this was actually pointed out by my first interviewer as well, because I used this trick and she was like, I like what you're doing there. That's her words. This usually helps in the end of the thing. You can follow up on something that they introduced earlier. For example, my interviewer had a big shift from like a telecommunication company to education. And my role was marketing, and I was just looking at the research part. You could also ask them about like skill development, etc. And I asked them, hey, how did that journey look for you? As someone who's still learning the process, I would love to know if you had some ways that worked and didn't work. You can have a lot of follow-up questions from that one thing that you took notes of at the start. So take notes on your hiring people. They are key. Number 2, most of the times the interviewers love to ask you about a time when you had a challenge and you had some issues, and how did you resolve it? Or what was the process? Or did you ever encounter anything like that? All of these questions, the first ever step is to acknowledge that yes, I had a struggle. If you did, it builds a human connection. Now, of course, research the company. If it's something super major that resulted in so much loss, don't do that. For questions like this, I always like to use my soft skills issues, because they do not necessarily harm the company like profit wise or performance wise as much. It's more of like a personal challenge. And that is one of the best examples to show perseverance. That skill is loved by hiring managers. They love seeing that people can persevere while also feeling like, yes, they're human. And that's exactly my third point. You have to stay authentic and make a memorable ending to your interview. All this is coming from my first interview because that was my longest conversation. That was my first. I was doing it all. But what my interviewer said, and I quote, is, you have made yourself memorable by constantly being authentic and not only sitting in an interview to answer the questions, but also to interview me as your hiring manager and as your recruiter. This blew my mind. Because more often than not, if you are sitting in an interview, you're like, okay, I want to get a job. You come with the mindset of so much me. I need to get something out of this. What you don't realize in the moment is that you're actually losing your sense of authenticity and you're just another person trying to take something from the company. Like, obviously, the recruiter thought that you were a good fit, that you could potentially help the company. They know that you're already going to take something, but you have something to give them as well. This is the quote from my second interviewer. They were like, the biggest thing that leads to a hiring manager changing their mind or rejecting a candidate is that they do not know how to be authentic. They are not organic. They are just another person trying to answer questions and impress me so that I give them the job. You don't want to be just another person. You want to tell them that you are you because of the things that you do and because of the things that you value. Not just, oh, because I have this list of accomplishments, I deserve your money. No, they want to have a connection. Like, hiring managers are human. Stay human. And this thing was highlighted by all 3 of my interviews again. So far I have only told you the good things that happened, but I thought they were so important. So now let's get into some of the areas of improvement that I got recommended by my second interviewer. This interviewer asked me very interesting questions. He did follow-up questions, and that was the first advice that he gave me at the end of the interview. So one thing that I missed in the midst of, and this was my mistake, I got caught up as soon as I sat down to impress him. And it is silly because I had just learned from my first interview to not do that. He caught it and he was like, hey, listen, you can stay prepared and it's good to be prepared, but not asking me follow-up questions to the questions that I ask you gives me a hint that you are just trying to win me. And I'm like, okay, elaborate, because I wasn't sure what he meant, because I thought I did ask him a couple of questions at the end of the interview. He told me that yes, it's good, your questions in the end were very good, but you also have to ask follow-up questions if my question is very broad. He gave me an example of producing a product. He told me that if I were to ask you to produce a product, instead of you instantly jumping into like showing me the process of how to produce the product, why don't you ask me my specifications? Like, okay, is this for a specific thing? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? It shows interest. It shows that you can think for the customer's point of view, and that's what they want, especially if you're in the marketing industry. If you are in that kind of field, make sure when they ask you a broad question, you follow up with a specific question so you know how to answer, and it kind of gives them a hint that you are actually willing to work this out with them, and also that you check your work before you actually start working on it, and it just gives a vibe that you care. What he quoted that as was, it's called driving the interviewer, and this is kind of in your benefit as well, he told me, because you kill time like that. That kind of gives them an opportunity to have a back and forth conversation, something deeper. And then at the same time, it kills time for those other extraordinary questions that they were meaning to ask you. And if they're the kind of interviewer that do not mind extending their time to have a conversation, that's just more time for you to connect with them deeper and increase your chances to get that job. And those were the areas of improvement that I personally had to deal with. And I felt like now that I understand, it would have been nice to kind of share out there if someone else needs it too. Last but not the least, I'm gonna talk a little bit about this inspirational talk that I had in the name of an interview during my third interview. So this interview was actually more like a conversation because we were out of time, and this really kind man from Microsoft, he was interviewing for 2.5 hours, multiple people, and I just happened to not get my chance. There were a few other people, so he offered to stay a little longer and talk to all of us. And I was the last person he talked to that day because there were people in line before me. Yet, he was so welcoming and he gave me the biggest words of wisdom. We shared multiple things about our cultures. Both of us come from a very minority background, and if not minority, he had a struggling youth, and yet he was still at Microsoft at the end of the day, and he kept emphasizing that this is a safe space and it is fine if you are disappointed by people and if you do not get the job even after you crush the interview, that's okay. And he was very reassuring. He was like, hey, treat yourself human and always remember. And this was the whole highlight of my interview with him, because his words still ring in my ears. Okay, every time I get a negative thought, his words start ringing in my ears, because that is how powerful he was. And he said, quote, Eshna, you belong. The reason why you're the youngest person in the room is because you belong. And you never tell yourself anything limited, because it creates itself into a reality. Whatever you tell yourself creates it your reality. So only say good things. Only say that, yes, I belong in Microsoft. Yes, I belong in such a high position. Yes, I belong in the top, because I do. Because I put in the work. Because I have accomplished enough. You never tell anyone that you have not done enough. You have done enough. You have done incredible things. I see your whole resume. You have done incredible things. And you are here for a reason. You were not here in the past couple of events that we had, but you are here now. You belong. And you have done enough for you to be here today. And this is the proof that you are gonna be at a much higher position, and you can be in an even larger space in the future. That blew my mind. And he said it so powerfully. He said it in such a way that I just felt super, I believed him right away. I was like, yes, you're so convincing. Yes, I belong. Why wouldn't I? And since then, I've just been sitting here and I'm like, whoa, mind blown. That is also a powerful reminder that I want to leave you guys too. If you came across this video, if you are here, if you have opportunities under your belt right now, or if you have upcoming ones, it is because you deserve them. It is because you belong in those rooms. And if you have a desire or an intention to eventually be in those rooms, it is also because you belong. It is because that's what you focus on and that's what you work toward. And nothing can stop it from coming to you. It's just a process of time. It's just preparing you. Everything happens for a reason. So keep that in mind. Well, I hope this video gave you some insights for a mock interview and some general life stuff as well. I thought it was a very, very inspiring moment for me. That whole entire thing, it was 5 hours long. It was supposed to be only 3 hours. Got pushed until 5 hours. And I enjoyed every second of it. And I hope somebody out there learned something from this, because I am super inspired and I want someone else to feel as inspired and as ready to go get what they want to get in their life, full heads on. That's all. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.